Good morning. I'm going to call the meeting to order for the Board of Water Wastewater Commissioners at the Harwich Water Department, 196 Chatham Road, Harwich, Mass. On Thursday, April 27th, 2023 at 11:30 a.m. We have no executive sessions, public comments, announcements. We do have a public hearing for today to discuss the changes to the general bylaws for Chapter 300 Water, 300-5, 300-16 violations and penalties. So I need a motion to open the public hearing.
I move that we open the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Want me to read the notice?
Sure.
The Harwich Board of Water and Wastewater Commissioners will be holding a public hearing April 27th, 2023 at 11:30 a.m. at the Harwich Water Department, 196 Road, Harwich, Mass. The purpose of this hearing is to receive public input regarding changes to general bylaws, Chapter 300, Water, Section 300-5, Section 300-16, violations and penalties. The proposed changes will be considered at the 2023 annual town meeting and seek to increase the fine amounts for violation of water use restrictions from $50 to $100 for the first violation and from $100 to $300 for the second and subsequent violations. A copy of the full bylaw and proposed changes can be viewed in person at the town clerk's office, online, and at our office at 196 Chatham Road. And this was advertised, and that's it.
Thank you, Maureen. So basically, we're just having a hearing just to give anyone the opportunity to come in and ask questions regarding the increases to fines. We'll find out at town meeting if it goes through or not. But again, this is just, you know, informational and give the public the opportunity to come before town meeting and ask any questions. Well, for the people at home, we have no one here to ask any questions. Do we have any other discussion we want to have about the fines?
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I have no discussion because we've talked about this all year.
Oh, yeah, it was just an opportunity for people that
Yeah.
if they wanted to. Consent agenda, the minutes for March 20th, 2023 was a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen, the Select Board. And,
Not yet.
oh, has it gone through? I did that went through, all right, Board of Selectmen, either way. And the April 12th, 2023 minutes.
I move that we approve minutes for March 20th, 2023, which was the joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen, and April 12th, 2023.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Let's see, we have abatements for 28 Tupelo. This seems kind of cut and dry. They had a toilet leak while they were away, or even while they were home, but only noticed it during their bill. And so they came to the Harwich, the water department, got some toilet test kits, and noticed they had a leak in one of the toilets. So they're requesting an abatement for $250.
I'm going to move that we deny the abatement request for $250.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
In the past, have we, I just don't remember one like this coming up in my time.
Okay.
In the last 5 years. Do you have any other, I don't know,
The toilet was leaking.
any history? Not this particular case, but is there any ones that we've done in the past like this?
That we would abate? I mean,
Yeah.
I try to think that each case is unique. I try not,
Yeah.
because what happens is if you do one for one, then people think, oh, you did it for one, you do it for every, I think every case is unique, and I try to look at it that way. Well, like I was thinking, like if you go away and you leave the lights on, you get an electric bill, you're still gonna pay your electric bill. I mean,
very good analogy,
I
thank
mean,
you.
I'm sorry to say
No,
that, but I
no,
mean,
don't
they're paying for treated,
apologize.
they're paying for treated water, so I mean,
Right.
somebody has to pay for it. It's costing us money to provide it.
Right.
Someone has to pay for it. I would be more than happy to go on a payment plan with any time that there's, a large bill to be paid, but at some point, someone has to pay that bill, Noreen.
No, I was just gonna say, I think what Judith might be thinking of is, once in a while, I think like in an emergency situation, when it was thousands, I think we might have adjusted the tier
Yeah, we've
amount,
done that, yeah.
but we
Yeah, I
still
just don't
did the
remember
get-
one like this,
Yeah.
that's all.
But, my problem, I feel, great customer, great record. It's just that if they don't pay for it, then the other ratepayers have to pay for it. It's one or the other. So when it becomes one or the other like that, I have to say that's it.
Any further discussion?
Just give them the opportunity to split it into 2 payments or whatever they need.
Yeah, if they need, by all means, if they need a payment plan to amend your motion.
In my motion to include, we'll be happy to provide a payment plan if they come in and
If
work
needed.
with staff. If
Perfect.
needed, if wanted.
All right, thank you. So that's the amended motion. Is there a second to the amended motion?
Second?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. FY '23, 4 to 3 internal adjustments, and, or you?
I'll take it, yeah. So, before you in the packet is FY '23 Quarter 3 internal adjustments in the amount of $5,293.54, comprising of internal adjustments varying from things that have been billed, base rate, new owners, estimated adjustments, things of that nature, as well as our department usage.
So the number on this sheet is different than what you just said. Did you say 5,200, something like that?
And then you'll see if you add the negative 300 on the second page, that brings the total back down.
To,
The
okay.
5293.
Ah, I usually made those in separate motions.
5293? 5293?
Right,
Oh,
but
I
I
see
was
that.
looking at
Okay,
this
yeah.
down
Okay, I
here.
got you, yep,
Yeah.
all right. I didn't see that. Okay, so a motion to approve the internal adjustments for $5,293.54.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And FY '23 third quarter water department usage.
Apologies, I spoke a little early. That was the water department usage. So this covers all of our water department accounts, various pump stations. We have all of our analyzers running and things of that nature, so those all get run through a meter, processed, and then abated.
All right. So we need a motion for the water department usage for $3,015.33.
So moved.
Is there a
Second?
second? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we have the 2023 town meeting articles. Oh, you have it first too, nice, okay. We've been through this a bunch of times, but again, I just want to give everyone an opportunity if they had any questions or noticed anything before we actually get to town meeting. Judith, anything that you noticed? Actually, I might have it here. You know, I'll give you a second, because there was one thing I saw at the end that, so, in the write-up, okay. So in the write-up, on the article, it says that for the West Harwich Route 28 water main replacement, page 25, it says the estimated cost is what we've all been discussing, is the $17,500. 17,000, I wish. 17,500,000.
Yeah.
Say, wow. that's
Yeah,
a
we
bargain.
really went
Take
up.
up a collection.
But if you go to the back page to appendix C-1, and there it says 14,700,000.
See dash.
Last page,
What page?
C1, the very last page.
Yeah. I can help with that. That was the, yeah,
Oh, no, you got it, I'm sorry, yeah.
that was the price that Dan submitted on the original capital request that would have started, you know, a couple of years before that and made its way along. And I don't believe the capital outlay plan always goes back and corrects, you know, each update, but I'll let Dan know that he's got his page.
Yeah, I would agree. I believe the 14 is from the August capital outlay committee
Okay.
form that was.
In case it comes up.
But, noted, good catch.
I do try. I do try to pay attention
Gary's
sometimes.
pretty sharp.
Oh, yeah, lately, good one, appreciate it. That's the only thing I saw. So,
I only have short-term
Lately.
memories, so lately is really good. I have a question.
all right, we'll go ahead.
Well, I don't want to cut Judith off.
Well,
I didn't have a
open
question.
house,
I was-
open house.
Huh?
I was chuckling.
Oh, okay. So are you able to identify, in case anybody asks, what the $800 is on the unpaid bills?
Yes, we have, for us, isn't it a little bit more than that? Ours is,
82208, and it's water, not wastewater.
What page are you on?
oh, okay, yes.
64 in this, 64 marked on the bottom.
Okay.
I'm struggling to pull them from the back of my head right now, but yes, we do have those. We submitted those to administration
Yeah,
for this
that's fine,
article, so
just in
I'll have
case,
that.
once in a
Yeah.
while, somebody asks an odd question at town meeting, like exactly what it is, just so you have the exactly what it is.
I want to say one was related to police details, but I'll
Yeah.
confirm, we'll have that ready.
Because people don't, my experience is people don't really understand in the government how when you have to have everything done by July 31st and you close on June 30th, how things can not get paid, so. Okay.
Well, I'll open it up if anybody has any else they want to add or questions, just so we're ready to go.
We're a couple days away, Monday.
Well, I would just say in general, if I could,
Absolutely.
the, $50 million article will be interesting because, some people might assume that, we're the ones that, this board is the ones that initiated that,
What's that?
the $50 million article, and, we really didn't. That's really the Board of Selectmen's purview. I'd like to speak in favor. I may speak in favor, I may not, going with the idea that less is more, sometimes. And, if, let's say I spoke in favor, or Judith often speaks, at these, would we identify ourselves as speaking on my own behalf? I guess that's I just want to be clear.
I know in the past when the first round came up, I got up and I said I'm speaking as an individual,
Yeah,
but in transparency, I am a water
right,
commissioner.
right,
But
That's a
again,
good
these are,
word.
and these are not the commission's
right.
proposals, these are the proposals of the
Right.
Board of Selectmen. But here's why I, as an individual,
Right.
believe-
Although we did vote on it as a board, but we didn't initiate it,
didn't initiate,
We voted
right.
support, that's all.
That's all. And
Yeah.
I think,
I like that,
Yeah.
Identify yourself, but,
because it's not,
right, it's-
we're not policy.
No.
And this is still policy until it's voted on,
that's right,
right?
yep, and built.
But I would just say, like, to Noreen's point, if I recall correctly, this board did vote to endorse
Yeah.
That's right,
the project, so I
Yeah.
don't think it would be,
You
out of
could say
line
that.
to say that the Board
Yeah.
of Water Wastewater
Right.
Commissioners endorses it.
Oh,
right.
but then, yeah, so then it would be representative from the board.
We could say the board endorses the project, and in addition, in my opinion, these are also
Right.
other,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a combination of all
Yeah.
those things will,
In case
I
somebody
just
wasn't
wanted to
reading our
say it.
notes.
I wanted to say it here, before we got there Monday night. And the only other one I can think of that might cause discussion, that we would definitely be involved in would be the assistant wastewater position. And if anybody questions that, I'll be happy to speak on it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think of like, yeah, just identifying stuff, I don't think it's.
Yeah, well, on the assistant wastewater one, I mean, that's our article,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
all ours, so.
Right.
100% ours, so, and the board has voted it, so that's it, that's ours
See,
to win.
I would say, if I was speaking on behalf of the board, like Dan said, if we've taken action here and have voted on it, then we as a board have already taken a position on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Again, speaking on that, where it says select board's authority, yes, we've taken a position on it, we did vote on it, but it's the select board's
Right.
project, and we do support it, or
Yeah.
if you had a change of heart, you have a change of heart, I mean,
Yeah.
that's your time to vote on it on the floor anyway, so you still have your vote, so I
Right.
mean.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, good night.
We'll see,
Good week.
Yeah.
we'll see. All right, so that's the articles. Anything else?
APCC did also, just for everyone's information, did send out an email blast to Harwich residents endorsing our budget with the inclusion of the assistant wastewater superintendent, as well as the Phase 3 and Route 28 sewer projects. So,
Yeah, it was nice of them to do that.
So they must be a 501c6 now, I guess, not a C3.
not sure.
Well, because politics are a no-no. Yeah.
All right, anything we want to add? 2023 water restrictions.
Yeah, so,
Going on.
I had the second batch of hearings with the magistrate this week. Similar to the last round of hearings, they dismissed a handful of them and reduced a handful of the other ones. But what I would argue maybe more importantly for this discussion is I did have a conversation with DEP last week regarding the new regulations on imposing drought or water use restrictions based on drought declaration by the state. So that's the big concern I've had going into the summer, and what they said to me was that yes, those regulations were adopted, however, you have 2 years to come into compliance with them. So we can operate this summer as we have historically with respect to implementing non-essential outdoor water use restrictions. We do not, as initially thought, upon declaration of level 1, have to drop down to 1 day a week because DEP said so. So that's kind of part A, right? So with that 2 years that we have to conform, one of the contradictory parts of the legislation that came out was that the restriction of non-essential outdoor water use was with respect to registered wells. So we have 10 registered wells and 4 permitted wells. In the literature that came out, they said if you are a system that is permitted and registered, then you shall default to the drought conditions in your Water Management Act permit. Our permit does not have any drought measures contained within it. It was DEP's intent to include them when we were supposed to renew our permit in 2010. However, they've been kicking that can down the road, so we don't have drought conditions in our Water Management Act permit. So with that being the case, and we have the 2 years for compliance, that will give us the ability this year and or next to kind of operate as we have been historically. That said, he also said he's hoping to get our permit renewed this summer. So with the renewal of our Water Management Act permit, those conditions will be in place before the 2-year come into compliance time period elapses. So we will likely have better drought triggers in our permit than what are currently allowed in the new Water Management Act regulations. Because the regulations, as presented, say upon drought declaration, this is what you have to do. What they've been doing in acknowledgement that the Cape is unique and compared to other parts of the state is they have given the town of Orleans, for example, who has a new permit, they have the drought declaration from the state as well as a drought trigger at the USGS monitoring well. So it's an and condition that would put us into water restrictions. So looking back to 2016 is the most recent year that we were in this case, is DEP was telling us, you're level 2, you're level 3, you guys need to stop pumping, yet we had an abundance of recharge off-season and had the capacity to pump throughout the whole summer of 2016. Having that groundwater trigger would enable us in those situations where we do have the recharge, if the groundwater levels are still such that they can support pumping, we would still be able to do so. So that's all, in my opinion, very good news for us in the short term and long term. So it's a lot, but
There's a lot of, it sounds like there's a lot of follow A until you get to B, look at C, then go back to A, second paragraph down. So there's
Yeah.
a lot of,
yeah.
okay.
But D hasn't even been touched for 13 years?
Correct.
So,
And this all was, I believe, prompted by a lawsuit that Harwich was participant in at the time the permits were to be renewed the last time. I want to say it was 2008, leading up to the 2010 permit renewal. They were trying to condition well registrations as they just did through the regulation, but they were trying to condition them through a different mechanism, and Harwich, as well as a number of other communities, sued the state. And I think that's part of what
it's been in
delayed,
litigation all this time.
you know, so now through the lawsuit, if I recall correctly, they said basically you can do this, but you have to do it through the adoption of regulations, not through the permit. I think it's confusing, but ultimately we're 13 years out from when we should have had a permit and still don't.
But the state is still monitoring everybody's water, right?
Yes.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no
The-
cause for alarm.
No, it's what.
It's,
So what we're up against right now, right, one of the conflicts not having a permit. So we're allowed 2.16 million gallons per day of water
Yeah.
on average. Every 5-year increment in your, they do 5-year kind of evaluations on your Water Management Act permit, and they give you an additional volume of flow, typically to accommodate growth and things like that, you know, in those 5-year blocks. They haven't given us any increase in flow for what would have been 2 5-year periods. Now, we have exceeded the 2.16 million gallon per day permit volume that we have, but I believe that, one, we don't have high unaccounted for water. We don't have a lot of, you know, leaky pipes, so that's not a red flag for them, and they haven't renewed the permit, so I don't feel as though they think they have much ground to stand on holding us to our permit limits, because they know that they would be higher than they are. But we still, from a compliance perspective, they're still looking at all of the same things that they have done historically. They just haven't been able to get in new stuff that they want, like the water use restrictions and stuff like that.
Noreen?
There's a lot of variables, so I don't want
Yeah.
to try to figure out every little squiggle, but the 2-year, you know, I always assume the worst, you know, when it comes to the government.
Yeah.
So assuming that the water management permit does not get reviewed this summer, that it drags on, what's the end of the 2-year period that you just mentioned? It doesn't cover next summer?
It would not be next summer, no.
Okay, all right, so that's one thing. And the part you said about the wells included, the 10 wells, the 4 registered.
Permitted and registered.
But can you explain that again a little bit?
Yeah, so it's super confusing.
Okay.
So I want to say it was in the 80s when the well registration process happened.
Mhm.
And that essentially was, we Harwich have these 10 wells that we've installed. They have the ability to pump X, and the registration guarantees our future ability to pump X.
Okay.
It's our grandfather.
Right.
With a permitted well, they're subject to a lot of more regulation. You know, DEP can come in, for example, well 11 out in East Harwich. There's a vernal pool that's adjacent to it. Because that well's permitted and not registered, DEP can come in and say, well, we think you're impacting that vernal pool, you need to cut your pumping volumes down. Where if it was a registered source, we would be able to say, don't think so. This is a registered source. So that's really the big difference between permitted and registered. But where we have both, our restrictions are gonna be based upon what our permit says, which right now says nothing.
All right, so we can watch this summer
Yeah.
and see how we.
So there's
do
other
it by
water
the fall.
systems, yeah, there's other water systems out there that have all of their wells are registered. And up and until the passage of this new regulation, DEP has had no mechanism to require them to reduce pumping volumes. Where, on the North Shore, they have really strong watershed associations and stream flow triggers, and systems that have registered can basically ignore those if they so choose. So to require them to comply with restrictions, they had to adopt this new regulation, which was all based on the original '08 lawsuit that Harwich participated in when they tried to do this the last time.
So last little thing, you mentioned there, provisions may come out of the monitoring of the state location, and you said the other monitoring well, do you mean the one in Brewster?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So a good example of a permitted well is the government coming in and telling us how much we can and can't pump in our wells.
Right. That's a
Something
permitted, not registered.
Right.
Okay,
Even though something's happening in Western Mass,
yeah.
they put these restrictions in, and it has nothing to do with.
Right.
They are trying to target, right?
It is
Aquifer
regional.
after-
It is
right.
regional, but
They-
the Cape Cod region is from
No,
Sagamore.
I know that, but when they asked for input from all departments, it sounded like everyone was kind of on the same page, like, don't put restrictions on one area when we're however many miles away, and
Right.
has not, just sounds like we're all kind of on the same
Yeah.
page with that.
Yeah,
So it sounded like they were trying to,
that's what they did with Orleans.
right, get a
So-
better handle on it.
Yeah, because in 2016, our drought declaration was based on extremely low groundwater levels up at the canal,
Right,
which ours were,
right,
in abundant supply.
Right.
So this, having that local USGS well gives us a more relevant target to our actual status, which they aren't doing, I don't know anywhere else, I'm not sure.
so I read an article about that USGS well, is that in Chatham or Brewster?
There's a number of them.
Okay.
The one that we look to is in Brewster.
Okay.
We used to look at the one in Chatham, but the one in Chatham was less favorable to us.
So does DEP not have hydrologists on staff? I mean, are they all policy people?
So,
It just,
like
it just
the
seems
drought
like,
declaration stuff, or,
the well registration thing.
so the registration, I mean, that predates, that's, I think I was just an infant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's
Yeah, it's a one-time
legacy
thing.
system that they haven't,
And
okay.
every year I have to fill out a registration renewal, and I get a document that if I don't do that one thing for these 10 wells, now they can default and they can permit all of them. So there's an annual exercise that I have to go through with the state to re-register our wells, and if we don't, instead of having 4 permitted wells, we're gonna have 14, and that gives DEP a lot more latitude to impose their will upon us.
Gotcha.
So we have 4
Fascinating.
I'm sorry. We have 4 permitted? I
Yeah.
thought you said 4 registered.
4 permitted, 10 registered.
Okay,
Yeah.
backwards.
All right.
So how do you get registered? I mean, if we were to...
You can't anymore.
Okay,
That, you had to do it at that time, back in the 80s, and if
Yeah.
you didn't do it, you missed the opportunity, and you were gonna be a permitted system.
I mean, is there a reason for that, or, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, like you said, the government, they want control. Control.
Yeah.
Right. To tell us what we can do in our own backyard.
No, it depends on how you look at it. Water is everybody's resource.
I agree.
And if some factory is shooting off stuff and it's blowing to Cape Cod, you as Cape Codders definitely want to have input on
I
it.
absolutely agree.
It's,
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically, government's supposed to be there to help.
I agree.
And that's why people should speak up at town meetings. and town meeting
Oh,
should
yes, how that goes.
exist.
Well, the issue, you know, looking at 2016, the issue is that in that instance, right,
Yeah.
very specific one, the government's help wasn't
Helpful.
needed,
Yeah.
right? Because we had an abundance of water beneath our
Exactly.
feet. So the lack of acknowledgement and uniqueness of systems and the hydrology and the government's desire to put broad brushstrokes over things is what, you know, where we get into conflict.
But that's also why DEP comes in and they do their audits, right? They come in, they do their audits. So when you come into a system and they have water leaks, or they have unexplained water loss, I can see them getting involved saying, hey,
Yeah.
but when you have a system running, fortunately the way our system's running, then you should give them the benefit of the doubt that they are doing the right thing. And, you know, why punish all when it's just a handful of people who aren't doing, or aren't, maybe not capable of doing
Yeah.
what, you know, the level of service that, you know, was expected. So, and, you know, you'll get Flint. I mean, somebody
Right.
should have been in there looking at that, you know? I mean, it's a horrible situation. So, situations like that, yeah, you know, they should be stepping in and
Right.
having something to say.
Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship with the government.
Yeah, yeah. Anything else?
No, not on that. I think that was
All right.
pretty much it.
Oh, so one thing, I have put a list together of towns and names and numbers to start, you know, making some phone calls on, you know, their thoughts and how they plan to move forward with whatever DEP decides to do if we go into a drought. So I'm still working on that, but
I think that's great
taking
you're
a
doing
step,
that.
taking it one step
Yep.
in that direction where I'm.
Pray for
trying to
rain.
stay. Huh?
Pray for rain.
Pray for rain, maybe, pray for rain. All right, anything else? Under new business, the Lothrop Lawn Project.
Feel free to name it something else, but it's got,
I like that.
Yeah.
It's a nice,
so, if you haven't driven by, we did have our crew out, I believe it was last week. The weeks kind of blur together, but it was either last week or beginning of this week. So they scraped out, in front of the building behind the little pear tree there. So we're gonna do 3 plots, one with the microclover grass hybrid, one with just native Cape Cod plantings, and then another with just a traditional Cape Cod lawn. We already have 2 prices, we're waiting on a third to have a gutter installed in the front of the building to feed that rain barrel. We get the rain barrel in, and once the gutters go up, Sean from the golf department's gonna come back to do all the seeding and everything. So that project is currently underway.
answer the question.
Yeah.
Is micro clover like a smaller kind of clover or lower to the ground clover? Or what's the word micro? Do you know?
I'm not positive. All I know is that
It's tiny.
this is,
It's tiny.
It's tiny?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
it's supposed to fix its own nitrogen and be a much better natural lawn alternative. So we're trying to give 3 examples of what people can do with their lawn as opposed to the traditional,
I
you
love
know,
it.
To hopefully have people come, visit, and see. Plus the pamphlet we got too. I mean, I was reading that one thing said, what was it, 1,500 gallons of
Week.
water?
Yeah,
It equals to 10 showers for
10
watering-
hours.
10 hours of watering your lawn.
Hmm.
So, not
Wow.
to mention the water you're using, but the cost to water your lawn. So,
I want to do this on my lawn. We lost our big trees with the storms in the last few years. And instead of just the grass that's there, I want to do something.
yeah, they said that the
this
clover's
is my lawn.
not, if you're out using the lawn, it's not necessarily the best because it can damage if you're, you know, playing football or
Oh,
something.
yeah, no.
But if you're just looking for
just
something
sits
nice to
there.
look at,
Yeah.
then it's a good.
And you don't need to mow it
Twice a year.
twice a year. My son will like that.
But yeah.
I've been
benefits all
thinking
around.
about it. My
I got-
poor neighbor's a
my-
landscaper though.
You
He's
see
got
my- you see my-
a beautiful green
yeah.
lawn.
My lawn is something, Doreen.
Just a suggestion, you know, as you go through this project, I think there will be a lot of people interested. Is somebody like taking pictures for you at each stage so that eventually you
Yeah,
can
I'd
say,
like
like,
to-
we seeded on May 5th
Yeah.
and this is how it looked on June 1st and.
I gotta get over there and get the interim before picture right
Right,
now, but that's
yeah,
my
okay.
plan, is to document, each kind of step of the way, the
Right.
gutters, the rain barrel, the
And-
seed, and then,
I think it helps people, because then they see how quickly they can change. It's not like, oh my God, that would take forever. If they
Yeah.
see, just look, in 6, 8 weeks, it was,
yeah.
I had another one, and I forgot it, so we'll see if that surfaces again. Whatever.
Hey, all right. All set.
Yeah.
Superintendent's report. Are you ready for that?
I'm
I
good,
know
yeah,
it's moving
so,
right along, but-
just.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You remember?
Yeah,
Alright.
no. Not totally on this topic, but, time passes so quickly. I know that Wellesley is, having so many issues with bill print, that I think it's important that whatever we decide that we want to put in terms of education into June or July's bill, be ready for her. Because right now, she's got, issues going on with the software. The last thing we want to do is be holding her up with a last minute thing. So I was wondering if, like, next agenda or some closer agenda, we might want to take a selection out of that booklet.
Well, that's what we were talking about, taking a couple of those bullet points and putting them in with the bill. And I said, put them out with everybody, and then Dan's thought was to focus on the highest users.
Okay.
The ones that, not so much are breaking
Yep.
the rule or whatever, but just focus on those high user people, which makes sense, because
Right.
we don't want to be killing trees at the same time,
Yeah.
too. So those people,
Yeah.
so I thought that was a good idea, so I think that's something, I
Well,
think it's along the line we're gonna go.
and I'll add, I think it's, trees are important. I think it's more than killing trees, because if we're gonna really talk about education, I think it's something where we gotta keep doing
Oh, yeah,
stuff.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
if I can just,
Yeah.
so the Healthy Lawn, Happy Summer Toolkit thing that we got from DEP, there's a number of material for distribution in that package that you download from the state. And what I was speaking with Gary is, and I have to do some more investigation and read the 30-page how-to document, but when I was scanning through, it appears as though we can pretty much import our water use data, parcel address, all that information right into this toolkit, and it will automatically filter and select, your highest 25% users. And then there's a series of postcard mailings, and then like actual
Oh.
pamphlet mailings. So there's like a
I
two or
guess I better
three
read the
step.
toolkit before.
There's a 2 or 3 step, like independent kind of
Yeah.
process. One to like introduce, hey, this is what we're doing. The next, we're going to be sending you some information on X, Y, and Z. So there's a whole breakdown, and it looks, assuming everything, the data's formatted, it looks like it would be pretty streamlined
Where
process.
are you getting your highest users, from 2 years ago?
Yeah, we'll have to look at, yeah.
And then
Okay.
do they have kind of a marketing thing like, similar, but that is for landscapers, to kind of switch landscapers to doing, kind of similar low water lawn systems?
I didn't see anything specifically targeting landscapers, but I think, so this one's predominantly, water conservation. This toolkit is really to help people to reduce water, get them to understand that you don't need to irrigate every single day. You want your grass to go dormant. You want it to go through periods of drought so those roots can really penetrate so that they can last longer. I think with the landscapers, and I've thought about this a bit, because I had a conversation with Patrick, on who's looking at banning fertilizer, right? And one of the things I said to him, and what my, I guess, hope, my big picture hope is that we can through, starting with the Lothrop Lawn Project, show people this microclover lawn, show them the Cape Cod lawn, let the residents ask of the landscaper to overhaul their landscape to be a microclover lawn. And the more and more and more people that are requesting these services of the landscapers is going to transition from a fertilizer applicating traditional lawn business model organically to these, microclover, and it's not necessarily just okay, we're cutting the cord, landscapers, guess what? Don't expect to mow this season because we're not gonna let people fertilize and irrigate, and now your business is gonna go down. My hope is through this education process, getting everyone on board with this type of lawn on Cape Cod will kind of naturally shift that landscape business model. And instead of going out and doing fertilizer applications a couple times a year, they may be going out and overseeding microclover. So that the workforce, we're transitioning the landscape industry.
Right.
Not,
Put people out of business.
Not putting them out of business,
because
exactly.
I think for a landscaper to come into you and say, Judith, I'm gonna put a new lawn in, or, okay, Judith, you want a new lawn? Well, what did you think about microclover? You'd be like, nah, I kinda want my grass. I hired you to put in a lawn. Or if someone coming in fertilizing says, well, why don't we, instead of fertilizing, let's rip out your whole lawn and put microclover in. You may be, well, that sounds like a big expensive job, just put down a little fertilizer. But if we can get the directive from the resident requiring a request from the landscaper, I think it allows the industry to evolve.
Yeah.
I think it's worth
Tweak
a
your
shot.
customer,
Absolutely. Sure, I mean,
Yeah. Based on no science whatsoever. Let me say that last summer I asked many different people, landscapers, fertilizer people, all kinds of people, about whether, because I was hand watering, I was hand watering my lawn for a while. And they all told me that, let it go dormant, it will be better for it. I have nothing but dirt now, so, I hear the people say that's the right thing to do. Maybe it's because my lawns were young, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But after having just spent 2 solid weeks overseeding on a small patch myself, we'll see what comes back. It doesn't look like anything will come back. So I understand the science says let it go dormant. Based on no science, I've lost an entire yard, so.
I have no idea. My yard's.
Because I would have kept
sand and rocks and-
I would have kept hand watering it. I didn't know if I could keep it up. It was an awful lot of work. I had a neighbor across the street, remember, that was hand watering with a fire hose. Because he
Literally?
he had a wedding planned for September. The wedding had been planned for a year.
Was he hooked up to a fire hydrant?
No, no, he had this huge hose and he was out there every night, but he kept it until they had the wedding, that like
Yep.
August to the middle of September, and he said, I didn't do all this, but we'll see. I'd love to learn more about that, but learning doesn't do me any good when I look out and see dirt, so.
We're gonna get you microclover.
Well, that'll be my 4th project in like 5 years. Give me some money first. That might help.
Pine needles?
I get that too. What you got, Dan?
So just wanted to give the board a heads up. M2, the well that we just had the new motor put in, did drop out the other day. I had the well company come back on Tuesday. They did do some troubleshooting. They're planning on coming back next week to start on relining well 4. If you recall, they've been waiting for the screen to come in. So when they come down to do that, they're going to pull the well at M2 and see if they can figure out what's going on. Fortunately, it's a small producer, but it is a well, so we'll take anything we can get.
Permitted or registered?
That one is registered.
Well, 4?
The permitted ones are well 10, well 11, and I think stations 8 and 9. I think those were all the ones built in the 90s. Everything before that was registered. We also have the generator for Station 7, which was from the insurance claim, the blizzard that got sucked up. That generator is expected to show up May 18th. So I think we've been waiting for that for over a year, but
That mean it's gonna snow May 19th?
I know. Also, just wanted to note, I did send an email, but I confirmed with Nancy, who gave the presentation from GHD at the last board meeting, the figure that we discussed in the summary table at the end of the spreadsheet that Gary had noted the discrepancy on was the correct figure, so it is the
I
lower
know, I
of the
couldn't
figures we
figure it
discussed.
Yeah.
And then lastly, our consumer confidence report is out. So that's out, another year gone. And then also I did include in the packet, and I think I sent this around in an email as well, but just to say it all publicly, we did get nominated for the consecutive performers, I think it is, award.
3 years.
So every 3 years, we have to sit a ceremony out, but they still give us an award. So we're, I think 8 years total straight now, so.
It's like the chowder festivals, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like,
You have to have the heavy hitters sit out.
they have to, yeah.
Yeah, let the
Yeah.
bench come in.
You're too good. Congratulations.
Yes,
Really,
congratulations
everybody.
and to all
Yeah.
the staff, that's remarkable.
Yeah. And that's it for me, I think.
You're 28?
That's what I just said. The price?
Yeah.
I think that's when you were chatting with Lorraine.
Sorry.
It's all right.
Did he?
See?
You shot too.
Did he?
Now you're gonna make me
Yeah,
put on
the-
my
I didn't hear
teacher
him either.
voice.
The corrected
In case
figure
if you weren't chatting, so.
was the one at the end of the packet.
Well, I know that.
Yeah.
Okay, you said it though.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, commissioners report. Judy, do you have anything?
Nothing, thank you.
Noreen?
Nothing.
John? Also. Did I have something I wanted to say?
You did, I thought.
Right, what was it? I
but
didn't write it down.
forget.
Did I write it down?
Have we gotten a portable generator yet?
No, that is supposed to be included in phase 3
Okay.
construction.
It's gonna need one.
Yeah. I rented one last summer for, and debating whether to do it now, for station T3, which as well as 8 and 9 out in East Harwich. The generator at station 8, which is the one that caught fire last year, also powers the treatment building. We did put the pigtails on the building so we can backfeed the panel, so we should be okay, but the generator at station 8 also powers the treatment building in that well field. So if we don't get a tent there, we need a smaller tent, but
We just need one, period, to have one.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Does DPW have one if, in an emergency?
Don't know if they do. I know we have a couple of their tow-behind ones.
Oh, okay, so there's
I
something.
don't know, I think we brought one back here and tried to get it running, but I don't recall where that stands. Last year, we rented a generator for the whole summer and just parked it out at Station 8 just as a contingency.
Should we do that?
Yeah, is there anything wrong with, is it a fortune?
Yeah, it's not cheap, yeah.
Do they do rent to buy kind of thing? you
We
think we're
wouldn't be
gonna-
able to do that because we would need to
Have it
procure it.
approved
Right.
in
We would need to-
advance?
Yeah, yeah. And the rental, I think, it worked out last year. Well, last year, keep in mind, we also didn't have stations 7 and 4. So I'm optimistic that those will both be back online
Right.
prior to, so it'll lessen that.
But how much was it about, do you
I
remember?
want to say it was like $5,000 a month, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's not cheap.
yeah. Oh, well.
Plus fuel, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's the commissioner's report. Next meeting would be the week of the 8th through the 12th.
You know, I was just gonna mention that next week will be a heavy week, so maybe we should add in another week before we meet, unless that messes things up. Are you going to the State Water Awards, Dan?
I was planning on it.
That's on the 11th.
Yeah. I have no
Okay.
problem going out the following week.
Pardon me?
I don't mind going out the following week.
I don't know, it just seems, I know that's a busy week for all of us.
What do we look at for agenda stuff? I mean, if things pass or fail at town meeting, what kind of action do we need to take?
I don't think there's much. I would say for Route 28 water main, we need to get moving on the easement, but I don't expect that to be, it's not something we need to jump, you know.
You mean the wastewater part?
No, for the water
Directional
drill, the dentist office, right on the other side of the bridge.
Right.
We're gonna need some land there to get the water
Oh,
main
okay,
connected
so
back
we
to
don't
the
have
street.
easements on the water side of that project?
Not yet.
Okay.
That's what the one for Monday is
How
for.
about the condos? You have to get it on that side too?
No, we have, no, because we have the town boat ramp there.
Oh, that's right.
So we're gonna go
Yeah,
from
parking lot.
the parking lot of the boat
Okay.
ramp to the bank next to the dentist's office.
Well, I can think of one thing we'll have to get going on, but, you know, I don't know if we have to get going on it like the next day, but, you know, talking about that project and, you know, Dan indicated, you know, boy, it'd be great if it comes in lower since the environment is good, but, you know, looking at our capital plan, we have, you know, in there for next year, distribution system upgrades at 10 million. And I think it's gonna be hard for us on the water side to afford
Yeah.
that project plus this 10 million. So fairly soon, we're gonna have to start talking about water increases.
Right.
And what we do with that 10 million to either hone it down or further define it. So, you know, we don't necessarily have to
Right.
do that in that meeting, but we have to do it soon.
Yeah.
And sewer regs that I still haven't looked at.
All right, so do you want to look at the week between the 15th and 19th?
I like that one better, unless somebody really wants the week before, but I mean, I think the first week of May is just gonna kill us,
Yeah.
for some of us.
I'm just like overwhelmed right now
With
with
the
work.
first week of May?
Third?
I think she's overwhelmed every week.
Oh, okay.
No, I can,
No, I didn't mean you couldn't come, I just meant they all look like.
yeah. So May 3rd, did you say?
Not that week.
No.
Not that week.
Yeah, because that's the week of our town meeting.
Yeah, and that's next week. so-
Yeah, it's
15th
next
through
week.
the
I was gonna
19th,
say, oh, the 15th or the 19th, okay.
Yeah, either the 8th through the 12th or the 15th through the 19th.
Right.
Either 2 weeks or 3 weeks out. And it doesn't matter to me. Dan, what do you have for schedule? Do you have anything going
Yeah,
on?
what's up with Dan?
I'm good.
right.
I have training that Tuesday the 16th, but other than that, my 17th, 18th, and 19th.
Which week do you prefer?
I'd go with the 18th or 19th.
Okay,
All right, I'm on vacation that week, so let's do the 18th.
or the 17th or the 18th. 19th's Friday.
Yeah, I can't do the
Yeah, we don't
19th.
do Friday.
No,
Huh?
We don't want to do it on a
I
Friday.
can't,
No.
I'm not gonna be here.
no, that was a slip of the tongue.
All right, well, we've been doing
Could we
Thursdays.
do a Wednesday
Doesn't matter, yeah, doesn't matter to me.
that
17th.
week?
Yeah.
Would that be
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah?
Same, anytime, because I'm on vacation. You guys want to do any time?
You're on
17th?
vacation that week?
Yeah,
So why don't we do it the following? Do we have a
not
deadline
going
for
anywhere.
something?
I'm not going anywhere.
Are you on a staycation? Okay. Well, do you want to be here on your vacation?
I'm gonna be 5 minutes
That's
away.
fine.
I'll be 5 minutes away, yeah. I'm gonna be here, so it doesn't matter.
May
Any day.
17th?
The
Yeah,
17th,
whatever time-
11:30?
Nope, it's fine.
Does that work for everybody?
Yep, the election's the day before, that'll be done.
So 17th?
Yeah.
Yep. It's a teeny breather in there.
All right. All right, just need a motion.
Actually, we'll know everything then, because the election will be the day before, we'll have all the information.
Yeah.
All right, a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.